Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew D. It's me once again. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. This time is going to be on Mickey 17. This movie stars Robert Pattinson as he plays a man working for an employer as he is committed to help save the world. And in order for him to save the world, the biggest thing he has to do is die multiple times. And when he reaches his 17th clone, his 18th clone appears before he dies. So, that completely changes the entire thing. And this movie is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who is the acclaimed director for movies such as The Host, Snowpiercer, and of course the movie that made him fully recognized even more is his Academy Award-winning work on Parasite. Not only did this movie win Best Foreign Language Film, but also Best Director and, of course, Best Picture. This was the movie that truly made him a household name, even though he already was one. So, of course, we expected him to make something truly great after this film, because most people can certainly agree that this is by far his best work yet. And while this is definitely quite a bit of a step down from that, I still had a really great time watching this movie. The fact that we get to see Robert Pattinson play two versions of himself in this movie, we already saw multiple versions of himself in the film already, because of course he dies multiple times in this movie. Now this isn't something like Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, where he dies over and over in Groundhog Day fashion. No, he gets cloned multiple times in this movie, and it can get very entertaining, and it gives you exactly what you need to know during the first 30 minutes, as basically the movie doesn't really start until after those 30 minutes. We truly get into the movie after that, because it basically gives you like a bunch of exposition dump of what exactly to expect. I don't really want to get into spoilers. Like, I always say this a lot, I don't want to get into spoilers, but, I'm going to say that just in case you guys get worried that I'm going to dive into spoilers. But I'm not really going to get into that. And Robert Pattinson is really entertaining in this movie. It's not his best role. He is very entertaining. And the fact that we get to see him twice in this movie, it's honestly really pleasing to see, especially if you're a big fan of Robert Pattinson. Of course, we know him for that franchise that was supposedly supposed to make him a household name, but in my opinion, he didn't truly start sparking until he started in movies like Good Time or The Lighthouse, and of course, The Batman. But he's not the only one that's good in the movie. We also got Naomi Ackie, who's also terrific in the movie. Mark Ruffalo plays a supporting role, and of course his lover, played by Toni Collette. We also got Steven Yeun, so yeah, you got a very hefty cast here than just Robert Pattinson. And the movie itself also looks really nice, bringing in that sci-fi style that Bong Joon-ho was once known for until he did movies like Parasite. And it definitely does feel like a Bong Joon-ho film when it comes to the creature designs, because The Host was a creature feature, though this isn't really something like a creature feature. It's basically more on the lines of something like Denis Villeneuve's Arrival, because there are elements that kind of reminded me of that film just a little bit. Just this film has a little bit more of the action side. While it's not fully action heavy, it does have elements of that. Now, one thing I can say that truly separates this apart from films like Parasite is the fact that it's definitely more easier to dive into, as it's pretty simple what Bong Joon-ho is trying to make out here. While movies like Parasite, it has elements that are quite fun to try to fully piece together. And that movie combined two different genres, from comedy to drama, into one specific film. And I just had so much fun trying to, fully dive into that, while basically what Bong Joon-ho is trying to say here, it's definitely far more easier to get into, especially once the film wraps up towards the end. Which, one thing I will say about the end is that it can be a bit messy, and honestly, it's kind of a bit underwhelming by the end. And like I mentioned before, the movie doesn't really fully start up until after the first 30 minutes, once it gives you exactly what to expect, which is why it's over 2 hours long, which for some people might be a bit much, but Parasite, this movie actually is 5 minutes shorter than that, but I feel like this movie makes its runtime fly by a lot quicker, because I feel like there was a lot more to dig into with this movie rather than this. It gives you a lot more that you need to know, because it's a lot easier to get into, and by the end of it, yeah, It's a very simple premise this time around when it comes to what exactly Bong Joon-ho has to say in terms of its social critique. But of course, this is adapting into something else, and it's something that I generally appreciate him trying to do. And the movie definitely doesn't look cheap. It's when it comes to the creature effects, they look relatively spot on for the most part anyway. Especially when it comes to this big creature that looks absolutely outstanding, almost reminding me of Dune a little bit. So yeah, while the premise is definitely far more simple than some of his other movies, it's definitely far more safer and a lot more of a film that is much easier to get into and dumps in a lot more so you can understand more, but I can't really say that it's really a bad thing. His direction is still spot on, and the performances all around, they are terrific. Robert Pattinson alone truly makes this movie, and it's great to see multiple different versions of Robert Pattinson in this film, even though he's mostly playing the same character, just in clone form. And by the end of it, I still had myself a fun time. I didn't expect the next Parasite or anything like that. I expected just another great film to come out of this director, and I definitely got that. It might be more simple to get into. It might not be one of those films to fully piece together. I mean, some people definitely aren't going to fully get it because there are still some times where, it's not always easy to understand, but when it fully gives you what to expect early on, then gives you everything you need to know by the end, it's definitely easier to get into. So yeah, I feel like some people might be disappointed because they expected the next Parasite. I did not expect that. I just expected something good to come out of this director once again, like I did with the previous few films he made, and I definitely got that. Don't go into this movie expecting another Parasite. Just, if you don't expect the next Parasite or anything like that, then you should be fine. I, for one, really enjoyed what Bong Joon-ho tried to make with this film. And in terms of him going back to the sci-fi roots of his previous years, I definitely appreciate what he did here, and for the most part, I liked what he did. I still thought the movie was entertaining, and by the end of it, I wouldn't say this is a film I would watch 17 more times. It is certainly worth a watch if you've been a fan of this director for quite some time. Expect something more on the lines of The Host and Snowpiercer rather than Parasite, and you should be good. Because I do not expect Bong Joon-ho to make another movie to top Parasite. And hey, some people might prefer The Host, some people might prefer Snowpiercer. Parasite isn't the only movie he should be known for because he has made tons of other great films before Parasite. So, and while I will definitely say this is probably my least favorite film of his, it's not saying a whole lot. I still think there is a good amount of stuff to enjoy about this movie. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter or X. I should just call it X because, yeah, that's what everybody calls it now. And you can also follow me on Instagram or maybe Blue Sky if you want to see more of me. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.